Hello everyone, welcome to Your World or Mine. Show me yours, I'll show you mine. And today we have Herve here, he's from France. So very welcome, Herve. I don't know if you're aware that I'm actually an alien, and this is one of my first visits to Earth. And so I'm really curious about what's happening in the world right now. What is your experience of what's happening in the world right now?
Oh, in the world, there are magnificent people, but there is also today a kind of disappointment. I think people are very superficial now because they look too much at themselves, you know. They do sort of selfie, you know. They want to shine for them, you know. The ego is too high. But I'm optimistic because there are very good people. The world is at war. I would say there are fights, and it's like in nature. So probably you don't do anything against that. But obviously, I believe that there are some shining people, you know, and of course, I hope. Well, we need to be full of hope, and this is what our souls are made for. You know, it's just to believe, to love, and to hope.
That's most beautiful. And you know, if I'm just sensing into what you just said, on my planet we're very sensory, so we feel it all over our bodies, of where I come from. And when you speak about it, I see sort of some kind of, it's like a fruit, you know, it ripens. And when you speak about, there's so much magnificent people and people that shines and that's just beautiful and they do beautiful things in the world currently. It's of that ripeness of fruit, you know, when it becomes ready to be eaten. It's like, for me, it feels like the world's ready for a different fruit to be eaten. And there's many amazing people, in my experience, that's planting these seeds for these beautiful, magnificent plants to come up. And you make the beautiful analogy to nature, that in nature we can also perceive things to be at war as well, of what's happening in the world right now, just in nature itself. And so therefore, me, the hope is in that beautiful fruit, you know, that's getting ready, from the seeds that are planted. So I have an interesting question for you now, because I'm really curious. So how do we instill more hope? How do we instill more love? How we bring more of that into the world? No matter, say for instance, we are young, say we're still in school or university or studying, what can we do to instill more hope in our own lives and more love and understanding in our own lives?
It's a difficult question, Hannelie. I thought about this, and I believe that, you know, everybody can do something, even if it is small, and that in the nature there will be an impact. Obviously, sometimes it's very hard to see the improvements. That's right. For me, and I'm very much interested because this is one of my subjects, you know, to bring some message to the younger generation. I probably think the world is too materialistic, and there need to be a sort of enlightenment about the spiritual life, the inner life. Obviously, some people are very lucky because they have like a coach, or they have a nice friend, or they have a good religion, or whatever. They may do meditation. But so, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm doing some, let's say, I try to contribute to this by doing writings, first of all, because I'm not a cinema guy, I'm a financial director, but is to write scenarios for films. I'm not talking about videos, I'm talking about real film, quality film, professional films. And I started with one which is on the on the steps, in the steps of Charles de Foucault, with a remarkable human man who became more and more human. And I've in plan, I'm planning a film with some messages. I'm very lucky to have met a friend with a film director, and she likes the idea of the project. So I need to find some financing in Paris from a producer, you know. And it would be, of course, very difficult to put in images and in stories the message that I would like probably to share, which is maybe not a message of hope, because I think the hope comes from yourself, but from a message that will say that we need to let's say we need to take our place, basically. And for this is Leonardo da Vinci who said, okay, learn how to see everything is connected to everything else. Anything is connected to everything else. And okay, to give consciousness to the younger generation and help them and tell them, learn, you know, try to hear, learn, hear, and maybe serve, because you'll see that there are things to do. But obviously it's very theoretical, and I would like to make it in a, you know, in a fun way, or in a, so if you can help me, you can contribute. Welcome, Hannelie.
Wow, this is most beautiful. You know,
Thank you.
As you speak about it, I feel it in my whole body. And my cells rejoice when I hear such news and such aspirations. And it's for me beyond an aspiration. It's already a reality. It's like you say, it's just getting the finances to get it done. Because the essence of it, and it takes me back to what you said earlier, that it's something that must come from the inside out. The materialistic part comes after.
Yes.
And for us, it's much about the joy generation as well. The joy generation for us is about discovering that inside of ourselves. And then we express it out in the world, we contribute, and like you said, we take our place. But then we don't just take our place to get stuff. We don't just take our place to get a house or beautiful paintings or a fancy car or whatever it might be. It's serving a bigger purpose. And in that way, we become aware of our impact on the world. Not only with everything we do, but also everything we think and everything we say and how we respond to the world. So it really gives me great joy to hear about your wonderful project, because it is, in our experience with younger people, it's what they need today. They're looking for it. They're looking for such guidance. They want to hear other options. They feel like in a maze. You know, there's so much going at them every single day through social media, through the internet. It's just coming at them all the time. So what do you do with all this stuff? And how do you find meaning in it? And if you're looking from it from an external point of view, it's going to be very difficult to find true meaning for yourself in your own context, because it's just there's too much. How can you cope with it? You will be easily confused and overwhelmed. So I'm really happy to hear about what you are with your project, or what you're bringing into this world with this message of hope, and that you're also saying it's from inside out. And you'll be fascinated. I will send you something later that I wrote on the weekend about hope and joy. It's incredible, the synchronicity. Because I was writing it on Saturday morning. My daughter was moving house. So I went dancing on Saturday morning, and then I went to help her. But I wrote this like in the early morning hours. about joy versus hope. And when hope comes from inside, it's joy bubbling up. And then it's impossible for you to harm anything, whether it's nature or other people, because it is something beyond the physicality. It's part of it, but it's beyond it. And that's not something, in my experience, that's easy to cognitize even, to just understand that might be very difficult if you don't go through it, if you don't experience it physically. So for me, I'm also sort of without words when I just tap into what you just shared.
Yeah.
And in my journey, I have traveled all over Africa alone and wanted to save Africa at the time. And it was very interesting that I saw hope in a very different package. Those people didn't have all the things that Western people necessarily owned and had access to, but there was something coming from inside those people. You would see the woman sitting next to on the streets washing clothes in the dirt water, but they were happy. And they were singing. And one of my dear friends, he still asked me, he was the mayor of one of the big cities in Africa, and he still asked me, you can't go in there alone, we have to go with you. And I said, no, I want to do this by myself. I need to experience this without the influence of other people's views. And what I saw afterwards, when I told him what I saw, he was like stunned. He said, I can't believe that you experienced it like that, because you picked up the joy inside of them. It's something that regardless of what's going on around them, it came from here, from the inside out.
Okay. That's nice what you say.
So, Herve, I'm really curious about when we speak about hope.
Yes.
There's so many amazing people across the globe who's doing very interesting things.
Yes.
Around that and other beautiful things too. How do we get people together? How do we get people together? I think I now answered my own question. because in terms of a film,
well, maybe, okay, I have maybe it's a mystery of life, and it's difficult to answer this question. But myself, I believe that we are on Earth, and there is. It seems to me, because this is about experience, and I've interviewed some of my friends, they find. I mean, one can find a sort of mission in life, and this is very, very mysterious. For me, why I'm doing this, I don't know. Very frankly, I don't know. It's like I'm pushing in the back. I don't have to think. It's not dream. It's not intuition. It's not. I don't know. There is no name. Maybe I would say there is a calling, and the calling is for everybody. I think you have to accept it. And there are different forms in the calling. It can be encounters, like you've been in Africa. What you talk about Africa. Can be reading a book. I mean, meeting you. You don't even. It's difficult to notice it for many people. But there is a sort of calling that you are appealed to do some higher things, and also you appeal to love. But you have to accept. You can refuse. And I think too many people are not conscious of this, and talking about it with a film, for example. Well, maybe, and it's not being a guru or making some special exercises, or it has nothing to do with religion, although religion may help. I think it may help some people to, well, maybe it will not help the people, because the life is a search, is always a search. So it will, and you have to experience yourself. You have to do your travel in life yourself. You cannot help the people, but at least they will it will broaden their, I don't know, their perspective. And it's good to see that there are some people who live this, and this is an extraordinary. And of course, I'm very conscious of this because I'm quite aged now, but I would have liked that somebody would talk to me about this when I was younger. That's why my message through this film, that would be difficult, and I don't know if I will do it, because I think your aim and your objective should be firm. Of course, it should be firm, but you must be open to what happened. I think for the moment it's going well, because I'm very blessed, because I have my best friend. I don't know why we encountered, but now he's 28 years old. When I'm 64 years old, and every year we meet and we have a spiritual walk and talk, but also we have, and this is the most important, we have adventures together. We go kayaking in Greenland. We went 3 days in the mountain just to see the nature and enjoying ourselves like kids, like playful boys. And there is a really soul connection between us. And this, let's say, this idea is also because of him, I think, because, he's young, and I know he's in research, he needs, but he educates myself also, because he's maybe spiritually he's rather high. He has read a lot of books, and okay, so I think to come back to this calling, which is very important, is the people with whom you are, encountering a film, encountering people is very good. But if you are alone, it will be difficult to hope. I think the loneliness is a very big problem nowadays. Okay, I see, I'm a coach for entrepreneur students, and they are very alone. Of course, their parents, they love them, but it's very difficult. I'm not talking to my kids like I would talk to you or to a friend. I mean, that's it. I really would like, we help, and is the best way to make a film? No, probably not. The best way would be to don't leave the people alone, and don't stay alone, and okay. And that's why I think it's very good, to talk to you. It just makes us to be better and to improve. Yes. So how to do? I don't know. They have to get out of this social media thing, and this, the earphones in the ears, and going to the gym, and just practicing alone, and just they have really to see the world. So I think probably for me, I think the first thing to improve and to hope is to be alone sometimes. On the contrary, okay, they are alone, but they have to have an experience themselves. So it can be traveling, it can be going in the nature for 1 week, camping, and just seeing nobody else, just them alone. Traveling to different parts of the world, I think it's very good. Some may have different things, but you just have to face yourself, basically face yourself, and maybe you will, with the help of let's say, if you know that this will transform you, maybe you can do, but it will not happen to everybody. You have to be. You have to go out of your bubble of life. That's the key, and being in the nature is so good to find your way again, I think. Yeah. How to do it, I don't know. I'm open also to suggestions because it's a very hard question. Yes. Again, I say it's a very hard question.
I'm really, sometimes I get at the loss of words when I experience what I currently experience. It's when there's so many things that you just said. That's even common sense, you know. It's not woo-woo stuff. It's common sense.
Mm-hmm.
That as human beings, we were not made to be alone in a cave. You know, we have the sea inside of ourselves that draws us to other people.
Yes, yes.
And so in sense that you spoke about lonely parts, the young people feel very lonely. That's my experience as well. They're feeling very cut off, although they are so highly connected from a connectivity point of view to be on social media or wherever on the phone, doesn't matter. But there's this sense of nobody understands them.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, you shared the most beautiful story where you shared about your young friend. Is where we call it the old school and the new cool come together. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's even the other way around these days. It's and, yeah, and it's for me, it's exactly that. And it's for me across continents as well. So when you share about traveling, for example, get out there, do things. Mm-hmm. Don't be all by yourself. We cannot expect to be understood if we don't show up in life, if we don't step forward. Mm-hmm. And yes, and there's two parts of it. There is the part to come back to ourselves, like you say, we go into nature. Get out of the room that you're in, that you can connect to other people, even with people on the street. And I have had some extraordinary experiences in different countries. And why am I saying this? It depends on the culture. Mm-hmm. Of how people perceive it when you start speaking to a stranger on the street. Some are deeply shocked. You know, if I travel in Europe and I would do that, even if I go for my morning walk or run in nature, doesn't matter. There's some parts of the world when you do that, the other joggers or the other people who walk will, you know, they will greet you, they're friendly, and you maybe start a discussion. But in certain parts of the world, it's just, people are shocked when you do that because they're not used to it. So we understand that that part is there. But once you begin, they suddenly lit up and something happens to them because nobody's usually speaking to them. It's not that you interrupt somebody that's now running or cycling. Say maybe you're walking, you're in the park, you're sitting on a bench. Or you're in the shop, you're buying something to start a discussion with the person who's assisting you, who's serving you. And people are not used to that because they are so used to just doing the function. Mm-hmm. So suddenly when somebody's showing interest in them, they lit up because this person is interested in me beyond the service that I provide. And something happens because we both, you know, you both benefit from it because you have this beautiful, enriching discussion that comes, it emerges spontaneously. So you don't have to think of how am I going to do that at all. It happens spontaneously. It's part of being human. And yes, I myself am like that. I can be out there doing things like that. And I also have my own time where I need to be in nature to come back into balance for whatever activities I did out there. And we all have different ways of doing that, which is wonderful. But what I want to share with you is something that happened to me on the weekend. Because my daughter was moving house, I took Uber to go and help her. And it was very interesting, the discussions that I usually have in Uber with my drivers. It's my most joyous time of the day because instead of me having a car that I drive around, I'm driven around, so I feel like a queen, number one. But this is something, and I'm stimulating the economy in that way. But it's beyond that. It's the discussions that we have that's so rich. So what happened to me on Saturday morning, I was taking the Uber to go dancing. Mm-hmm. And it was quite a distance. So it was quite a good rate for him because it was a long ride, because it was on the other side of the city. But what was interesting, during our discussion, he asked me, so what do you do, ma'am? So I tell him, no, I help people realize their potential, but from the inside out. It's discovering who you truly are, but it's about the joy inside of you. so that we can transform the world through joy.
Mhm.
So he said, but man, how do you do that? So we start this discussion. So I explained to him in terms of what he's doing. He's an entrepreneur. He's driving this vehicle and he's taking people around.
Mhm.
So I show him that is beyond just taking people around. He's giving me an experience that I'll remember because of the type of experience we had together, beyond the service that he's providing to me. And in the discussion, I say to him, he's asking me, where are you going? I said, no, I'm going dancing. He said, so how are you going to come back? I said, no, I want you to take me, but I'm not going to go back. I'm going to go to my daughter's house. So he said, can I come and pick you up after 3 hours? I said, of course. So immediately he gets another trip, and it's a long trip as well. So we had 2 very good trips. But the discussion we have is about how you can see he's giving me something more than just a trip to somewhere.
Okay.
He's giving me part of himself. And if he was like grumpy, I wouldn't have had a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
If I was grumpy, he wouldn't have had a good experience. But it was wonderful because for me personally, that's when we connect to people. In the simplest of things, we don't have to think we need to go and teach somewhere on a mountain. Yes, we can do that if we want it, if that's our calling. Nothing wrong with it. But it's in the day-to-day activities with human beings like me and you here now. We've never spoken before in this way, and we can share.
Yeah. I have a question, Hannelie. Is what you felt, what you feel. And this man, did he feel the same as you when you were communicating with him?
Yeah, he lit up. He was like,
Yes.
ma'am, and I showed him that if he just brings out that part of him every day in all his trips, he will have such wonderful experiences, and it will have abundance coming towards him because of the way.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I also explained to him sometimes there will be somebody that might feel grumpy, and then you won't necessarily go to the extent we did because you begin to sense into the other to see where they are at that moment, which is all perfect because we're not always in the frame of mind that we are, but we have a choice. And then he starts speaking about the choice, and I'm like delighted. I say to him, "That's wonderful," because he realized he has a choice, and that if he's happy and that if he's looking forward to the day, it's going to be a wonderful day. He's going to get wonderful people.
Okay.
But he discovered it while we were speaking. Not I'm telling him that. Mm-hmm. It's through the experience that it became evident to him. And for me, that was just most precious because it's not something I do. It's about him. And then when we are together, there's something beyond us going on. It's like you say, there's bigger things going on. This calling happens on another level. We don't have to worry about that. We just need to be ourselves, fully, totally.
But don't you think that we have, I mean, all the people we need to hope, they have to make the hypothesis that people are good and that the people, they love you. Because sometimes they just, they have this bias that people, you have to be very afraid of people, As you said, sometimes sometimes I talk to people in the streets, and it's very difficult in Europe, very difficult in France. But I can do it only with certain people. You feel it.
You feel it. Yeah, I picked up that in Europe as well when I traveled there a lot.
And why do you know this? Is because people you think that it's first about you. It's about a connection. In fact, it's mysterious for me. Why some people will be open and not some very closed. And if you are not open, you'll miss some opportunities. You'll don't listen to the calling, and you miss the joy in life. Yes, can be.
In my experience, I'm a very interesting person in that regard. I may be a little bit brave because I sense into the connection. But the minute I in that car door, the minute I open the car door, and we start talking, I usually ask people what their names mean. Because in Africa specifically, it's wonderful because the African names are given with purpose, not just because it's the name my dad had, or so it opens. It opens the door. And then
Yeah.
the discussion starts. But on the street, for example, if I walk towards somebody and I start speaking to them, and I sense that there's sometimes that I will sense into them and to see if the connection is there, that I can start speaking to them. But there's other times where I'm like, I just go for it. And initially there's a bit of uncomfortableness for them. But once they see that you're not wanting something from them, they start open up.
Ah, okay. Yes, yes.
They start open up because if somebody, it's also the way you approach them very gently. So it's not that you're rushing towards them and you start speaking to them. It's, I'm trying to look for a common denominator, something, you know, they're in the same areas. I would maybe start speaking about the park or the restaurant,
Yes.
or whatever
Yes.
it is in the street,
Yes.
the shop.
Yes.
You pick up some connection. It's again a connection of
Yes.
some sorts to begin this discussion.
Okay. I think that's the answer. Is there must be a true connection, no interest, no money, no business, no whatever. And you know, my experience is the best connections I've had with some strangers. This is, I don't know if you know BlaBlaCar. BlaBlaCar is a sort of platform where you will offer to travel with people. You offer seats in your car if you want for travel. And people come and you are inside the car. And when you start talking, they talk.
Exactly.
And they talk with very, very intimate matters. You know, you can ask anything really. But you are in the car. If it's in the street, no, impossible. And you know, they are a bit also, they cannot escape. They're in the car because they need to go to such important. You know,
that's wonderful.
Okay, that's
But what you're sharing now about is there's some kind of container. So the vehicle, and in my case, with the Uber driver, the vehicle is the container.
Yeah, yes, it's the same for you. Yes, with your driver.
I'm just the passenger where the driver is in the driving seat, but your scenario is just is the same. It's similar.
About the same. Yes. Yeah.
And when you like with somebody in a shop where you're busy buying something, again, it's a container.
Yes.
Because it depends on obviously where you are in the world. Some people wear name badges, others don't, or whatever it might be. Or sometimes I would just tap into the beauty in them and would just tell them how beautiful they are, male or female. And it's very interesting how they respond, because you're just the most beautiful being. It's not how pretty you are and what clothes you're wearing, it's the being that you are. And when you do that, you speak to their hearts, and their heart bypasses the mind. So the thing that will usually resist will stop.
Yeah.
Because every being wants to be recognized, in my experience. That's what, as human beings, we want to be recognized for the being part before the doing part. Doesn't matter what we believe or what age we are. We want to be recognized as a beautiful human being. And from that place, you build the connection, because now I recognize something beautifully in you today, and then the connection starts growing because it's beyond what we speak about.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Yes.
But it's to show that what we're sharing about now, for me, and for those who's going to engage with us afterwards in this way and watching the video and listening to the audio, it is that we can create that container ourselves. We don't need to wait for other people to do that. So when we are lonely, everything we were born with, this gift, the body, the mind, the heart, everything, the spirit, everything is there for us that we need. We cannot die. It's like the sun coming up every morning. It's the same with us. We get up every morning, we're still here. So when I go and speak to somebody else, or when I go out into the world to experience some experiences, what can happen to me? I'm still here. I don't need to feel ashamed. I don't need to feel afraid. I don't need to be afraid to be loved, because I think a lot of us have never learned how to be loved as well. And that's a complete whole different story, because people can shower you with love. If you are not able to receive it, it won't change anything in your life. So like you said earlier, we become open to these things and to trust. So for me, hope and trust goes together as well. You can't have the one and not the other. But our simple breathing for me is the sign of the trust, because I don't have to do anything to breathe. It's natural. My quality of breathing is signified by my well-being, my total well-being, yes. But I breathe now spontaneously when I speak. I don't have to think, oh, Hannelie, now you must breathe. It happens spontaneously. And when I dream tonight, when I go to sleep tonight, I'm still breathing. My breath doesn't go away, but I don't have to think about it. I'm asleep. So that for me is the first sign of trust,
Okay.
which for me is directly linked to this beautiful calling, the hope you're sharing about, because you can't divorce the two. Because that we have our breath is for us the physical sign, because as humans we want, we want proof, we want science, we want people to do the research. But here it's in our body. The first thing we do when we are born into this world, we breathe from a physicality point of view.
Yes.
And as long as I breathe, there's hope, because I'm alive. So there's another possibility waiting. Maybe I'm so caught up in my current circumstances that I don't know how to get out. And I love what you shared earlier about Leonardo, because he's one. I don't speak much about gurus. I believe in the wisdom from the inside out, and sometimes we do need teachers and gurus to lead us along the way and guide us. But when you speak about Leonardo, he's like my person. I learned so much about that man, and I love him so much.
Yes, he's phenomenal.
It's
Yes.
phenomenal how he listened to his calling. And for me, that's the most biggest inspiration he can give to me as a human being, because he was curious. He wanted to know why, how. He was always on the edge of something new, to discover something new. But I want to bring it back to hope, because if we don't have individuals or groups of people who can inspire us like that, it's very difficult to hope when our circumstances are not that I don't even have a word for that part, but you know what I mean. If we feel like there's no hope, I couldn't even think of the opposite of hope. It just didn't want to come into my consciousness now. But if we feel hopeless, purposeless, it is to reach out, to go and do research. Go look for people who brought hope into the world as their examples, but don't, like you said earlier, it must be our personal experience. Again, we must always come back to ourselves.
Okay.
And now I can just say about Leonardo, and I'm just sorry, I just want to share this about Leonardo, about how and I think because this for me comes back to hope as well. It's how we see the present moment versus the past and the future. If we fear the future, it's very difficult to hope. If we continue to get attached to the past, it's difficult to get hope, because we get attached to the stories. So that we're not available to what's available to us in the present moment. And that's something that I also learned from Leonardo, by the way, about when he spoke about water in the river. The water that comes, how can you say that part is past, present, future? Because it's one stream of consciousness, it's one stream of water, it's one stream of life. It's here now. The river is here now. I cannot say that part of the water was yesterday's water, or the part that's flowing towards the ocean is tomorrow's water. I cannot say that's impossible.
Yeah. Okay.
So for me, with hope, we need to be in the present moment, because the fears of the future and the agony of the past will keep us captive. And then we're not present to the possibilities in this moment for hope to be manifested in the physicality. So I'm so grateful you mentioned Leonardo. I have to share something incredible with you what happened to me in Italy earlier this year in Tuscany. So I had this deep connection with Leonardo since I was very young. Yeah. And I used to write with both my hands as well, but from the right side of the my daughter, I didn't know that because I didn't go and study art when I was at school. We never had art where I grew up. But I used to write with my left hand, which was considered my non-dominant hand. From the right side of the page to the left, the words swapped around. The letters swapped around. And the one morning, and I was always journaling, and the one morning my daughter walks into the room, she says, and she was studying art, she's an artist. She studied, and she said to me, what are you doing? I said, I'm journaling like my every morning thing. And she says, but look at how you're writing. Do you know who wrote like that? I said, no, I have no idea. She said, Leonardo. And I just looked up. But what happened to me in Italy this year was incredible. Because the first morning I woke up in Tuscany, something happened to my body. I dissolved into nature. My consciousness dissolved into nature. I wasn't me as Hannelie, the identification. But I felt it physically. It was extraordinary. And the next moment, I felt this huge presence behind me, and I picked it up as Leonardo. It's the way I perceived it. And I had the most extraordinary experience there, in a very physical way, because of this deep connection. Why am I sharing this now? Because I think when we allow our connections to deepen, not only to grow, but to deepen, the callings that we've been called for starts magnetizing towards each other. And we can tap into the wisdom from the past, like of Leonardo in this case, or of our future selves. But it's available to us in this present moment. So the hope for me, if you speak about hope, and I know I speak a lot today, so it's supposed to be you who spoke, but it shows you what you catalyze in me. So that's wonderful. But in terms of hope, it is that in this present moment, we have access to all the wisdom of the past and all the aspirations of the future in this moment.
Okay. Yeah. How to give hope to the people was the question. And yes, I think I believe very much in the example of people, the inspiration given, and well, for this you need you need really to be open, So the question then is, why are some people open and some people are quite close up, closed? And very often this is a question of the story of the individual person. There are pain and blockages and scars. And I believe you, of course, I understand what you say when you encounter people and there is this deep connection. And sometimes this can be a trigger for them to, oh, see, how is it? It's changing myself. Well, I think in life it's often like this, these individuals are this way and there is a trigger, something. Me, it's unbelievable. I mean, I was not, I was like, very much hiding, very shy, and I changed due to my wife, due to, I don't know, because I quitted the job. It was too much stress, and I was not myself. So we need, it's not obvious, it's never too late to experience this, maybe the joy. I consider more and more, I'm close to nature and close to the universe. Not being extreme. Huh? I'm a Catholic, I have values, I'm very happy of what I did, but discovering this, and I think what the example of the water flowing, is very good is very, I think and breathing is very good, because to be conscious of this, you have to stop all this. You have to stop certain things. You cannot. It's not for everybody, and maybe some people even they die and they've not listened to the water flowing, and that's a shame. But so it's good that you do on Facebook all your let's say what you say. You know, I share, and I think you know, I've not on Facebook, but I'm more on LinkedIn, but I have a lot of connections, young connections. I think people like what they say, also what I say, what you can say, what you may say. Because they want to invite me, you know. It's not only for business, because I'm not a businessman any longer. So it's good to shed some light on this part. Even sometimes it may look a bit excessive, you know, that somebody's looking at flowers and talk about flowers and trees and blossomy, but you know, they probably question themselves why, at least, and probably yes. It's I said people are very superficial. We need to help them to deepen, you know, thoughts, and maybe that's just what we can do, and this is good. I don't know.
I think anything that creates awareness, and you speak about your young friends on LinkedIn, I think it's wonderful, because when you spoke about the openness part of why are certain people open and others not, if we just look back at how we are educated and how we grow up, you know, the circumstances of be afraid of this world, and also how you look at the world, so it's connected to the way you look at the world. Again, look at, as are you part of the world? Or is life happening to you? But moreover, is this a dangerous place? Is it unsafe? Because then naturally, even from our body's perspective, we want to close down. You know, we go like this, we want to protect ourselves. So we won't be open because we're going to be afraid somebody's going to take advantage of us, or somebody's going to do something bad to us. But in my experience for the younger ones, for them, I would specifically just want to say that there's nothing to be afraid of. We have 8 billion people on this planet, and we have had so many before who came before us. There's nothing to be afraid of, and whatever circumstances we are in, we can change how we look at it, number one, and we can change how we be in it. How are we in it? So how are we being part of it, and how do we want to contribute to this world? So it's all up to us. In the end, it's not happening to us, it's happening through us, but it's something that's not easy to understand, logically speaking. How is life happening through me? Because then I don't have to worry about anything, because life is, my breath is my first thing to say that I'm alive, but I'm here, so I'm alive. I might just exist and not really appreciate what's going on around me and being involved in what's going on around me. We're not all the same. We didn't all here came on the same calling. But it is for me, for the younger ones, what you're doing on LinkedIn, I think it's wonderful. And I don't think it can ever be excessive, because why? It's we're raising awareness more than anything else of a different possibility. And for me, the young people are hungry, and they want to know. They want to know. They don't want to go for the same we did, for example. Why do they need to? I don't believe they need to. So it can never for me be excessive. It is because we know, especially on social media, only 6% of the people see our posts because of the algorithms and all the things. So how can we be excessive? Because it only will be excessive if somebody sits in front of that for 24 hours and see the same thing over and over. But for me, it is a flow of life. It's like that river that you also now just shared again about. It's providing the inspiration, it's providing the other options. But beyond that, it's providing the hope, because I can be given 10 million opportunities, but if I don't have hope and there's no inside of me that is a possibility, that I can make it possible, and for that I need some some ingredient, and hope is one of them for me. That if I do think this is a very dangerous world and I'm just going to die, but there's no hope. There's absolutely no hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the hope part is very important. So what you're doing is wonderful. And with a film, especially in terms of, I mean, there's many, many interesting films that I saw in my life that was just life-changing. Because it starts, like you said, it's a trigger. And then we need to go and seek and look for more and search for more information, more experiences. Mm-hmm. But it triggers something in us. So it's a way, and with movies, like with films, visuals speak directly to our neocortex in front of our brains, where our consciousness lives. So even if we might not remember it from a mind perspective, it's part of our being. So it's accessible. And again, if somebody triggers it again in another way, perhaps, or stimulate it, it will grow, it will expand, and we'll become curious. So I usually say to the young ones, just stay curious, never stop being curious. Mm-hmm. And ask questions. Don't stop asking questions. Don't look for answers, ask questions, because it's in a question that the answer lies. But if you continue to look for answers, you're never going to get the perfect idea. It's not going to be there, because the answer is within you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But something we just talked to this between us, well, in fact, it was 3 days ago. When you ask yourself the true questions, I think it's already a calling. It's my friend Thomas who said that. And I think, yeah, it's good to ask the questions, yeah, to somebody. And but don't you feel it's difficult sometimes to answer yourself? But you can help, and but finding the true question is difficult. What's the true question for yourself? It's just not the question, okay, what I want to do in life is yeah, exactly what I want to do. I never, I mean, it's a very peculiar question to me, because I never knew what to do in life, if you want, okay? But it's coming, but I've been asking some questions and I had some demands. Okay, so maybe that's the secret. But for this, you need probably hope in your heart. Believe in the power of yourself, basically.
Exactly.
And that's what maybe you teach. Because I'm not a teacher. You are a teacher.
But you know, when you speak about the question part, I hear often from young people, is the same that you just said. What is my calling? But we make it a what is my calling, if we just listen to the sentence. So what is my calling?
Yes.
Maybe another way of asking that question is, please, my inner self, this power within me, this higher power within me. Yeah. Show me what is my calling. Because then I am open to, then it can come to me. But when I'm just saying, what is it? What is it? So I'm like lost. What is it? But when I ask, show me what is my calling. So the whole universe is showing, everything is working together to show me. But I must believe it. I must hope. I must have hope in my heart that it's possible, that I will be shown. And then I have to perceive what's going on around me. Who's coming into my life? What are they talking about? If I do open social media, what am I seeing first? If I walk in the street, what's coming into my awareness first? The universe starts speaking to me. But it's from asking from the perspective of show me versus, oh, I'm just lost. What is it? Where to go from here? Because then I'm stuck. I'm in this place. I don't know where to go to. I don't know where to turn to, because there's so many directions.
I'm not sure, Hannelie, I'm not sure I understand completely. When you say, show me my calling.
Show me what is my calling. So I'm asking this deeper, higher power within myself
Ah, yes. Okay.
Show me in this moment here, so I'm aware of everything around me. I don't have to go and look and search for it, because the
Yes.
minute I do that, I'm going out of my power. But when I ask it from here, in this present moment, here, me, show me my higher power, show me what is my calling. But I'm present then to everything.
Just now, what is, show me my calling now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, for this moment, because
Yes,
they
yes.
make a calling sometimes too big for us to hold and to
Yes.
handle.
Yes. Okay. I understand now. Okay. Powerful.
That is powerful. And it's not Hannelie saying it, it is the higher force through her saying that. And I think if we begin to recognize it's beyond the human part of ourselves, it's the higher power, however we refer to that.
You give me ideas for the film.
And this is co-creation.
When a young guy, because I think there will be like stories between young and older persons, and when effectively the young will talk, okay, and then the older person can say, okay, your calling now is this. They say, what's the calling? And then he can elaborate a little and then make a story, with pictures, nice stories. And then maybe follow me, we'll go in the nature now. And can we compare, how would you translate this in the nature? Because, I feel we as humans, we belong to the universe, and we are part of nature. Basically, we are humans, okay, with different characteristics, different from animals, but we are in the nature. So, of course, it's maybe difficult to talk about the calling in the nature, but how would you compare, how would you parallelize this situation in the nature?
From a calling perspective.
Maybe not the calling, but the, let's say, the interactions, the hope, I don't know.
The hope. I have a beautiful story for you from nature. And it's
Yes.
ducks, it's ducks, little ducks.
Yes, ducks, okay.
The mother, the eggs are in the nest up in the tree.
Yes.
And she sits on the nest, and when they're ready, they come out. And then she does something very interesting. But they do something even more interesting. She jumps out of the nest without showing them anything. She jumps down and she calls them down. She makes a noise. Then, one by one, they just jump off by themselves. They know, they trust, they hope, there's hope in their bodies, it's trust in here for what they are, that they can do this. And they just jump. She doesn't show them 10 times, oh, this is how you jump. She jumps on one time and then she calls them. But then she does something more incredible.
Yes.
She leads them to the water directly. She doesn't show them how to swim.
No.
They just jump into the water and they start swimming. And then, they do something more interesting. They start looking for worms at the bottom of the pond or the lake, and they feed themselves. She doesn't come and feed them. It's an inner knowing. It's an inner trust. They just know how to do it. In my experience, from a human perspective, we're trying to make things too complex. This knowing is inside of ourselves.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But we don't take the time to sit with it. We try to seek for it all over the place, besides here where we are right now, in the moment. And we can have wonderful people guiding us and triggering us and stimulating us. I think that's for me the role of a guide. It's just to trigger and stimulate things in ourselves that we can discover it ourselves. But we are like that ducks. The same is with the flower, the seed. All the wisdom is contained in that seed. It knows how to grow through the soil, to become the plant, to become the flower, to become the fruit. It's all inside. Nature shows it to us everywhere.
Leonardo da Vinci learned how to see. You look at the nature, and if you consider you're part of the nature, is what you say. It's wonderful. Just, Hannelie, how long do you want to talk more? Because I've...
No, I understand. So I wanted to say to you, do you have a special message in closing for our young people?
Well, I improvise. It's, I think you need courage. You need to work a lot. But there are always rewards. And you have a soul to hope. Okay, and this you have to know. Okay, and I will illustrate this by very nice books. One is from Marcus Aurelius, you know, the emperor. Well, and then we can have inspirations from great people, but they think they have well, they succeeded because they have an engagement. So engage and learn, engage and learn and work.
Thank you so much, Herve. It was wonderful being with you today. I think we can go on for 5 hours, and it's really wonderful to share in this way with you and for the inspiration you brought today, for especially our younger generations. And we're looking forward to see how this also unfolds, and we're looking forward to your film as well. And yes, the whole universe is behind you and with us, so it can just be wonderful. So thank you for that. Bye-bye, everyone.